and the way that they're just picturing and like making the reader picture hell. And it's so interesting, the concepts that she brings up as well. Okay. Just zero context. It says hell is other people. I'm just gonna ramble on about how much I love this book, which is a problem because they're not actually dead, and in the end she has to look out for herself. And obviously this is like a special edition, like you can see how gorgeous like these sprayed edges are and everything. This book, and I love me a heavy big book. This actually blown away, which was a plot that I've never really considered. Like I never considered that it could be intentional. It just seemed so much of a mistake. This is why I love reading. This is why I love reading. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I decided I would do a little reading vlog because I got this gorgeous copy of KATABASIS, which, look at these straight edges. Is that not actually crazy? I am genuinely so excited. Like, this is the most beautiful copy of a book I think that I own, and I just had to start it right away. I am already on chapter 3. I started it like a few days ago. Genuinely, I'm actually obsessed already. The writing is so good. I cannot wait to see what happens. If you don't know, this book essentially is about this school in Cambridge where this student is part of the School of Magic, and unfortunately their professor has died and ended up in hell, and so these two students are deciding that they're gonna need to go to hell to try and bring back their professor so that they can finish up their like postgraduate thesis, basically, so they can graduate from the school. It's already so good. The very beginning is them like making this plan and like going into hell. So even in chapter 1 they're already entering into hell, and they go through like, R.F. Kuang just does a really good job talking about hell as it's described in many other kind of like contexts or pieces of literature from the past, but they also really mix in some like new fantasy and like magical elements into their descriptions, and the way that they're just picturing and like making the reader picture hell and this landscape that they're going to is honestly incredible. I'm actually blown away. It's been so addicting, and again, I've just started it. I'm only on chapter 3, but it's already so addicting. I already love our two main characters so far, and I'm so interested to see what this physical place of hell is that's described that these characters are like moving through. It's so good. I am also excited because in Southern Ontario right now it is basically full-on winter. We're having a massive snowstorm right now, and I think it's supposed to continue snowing here for the next week or so, maybe. I don't know. We're just kind of in this like perfect mix of winter snow, so I'm excited. This is like the perfect book to just like cozy up with that weather and vibe. And hi. Bye.
I'm gonna be brushing my teeth and maybe take a 5-minute break.
No, it's fine. I already finished mostly.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I have more to say. Yeah, I'll end it here. Okay, let's do a 100-page update. So, currently I'm on chapter 7, exactly 100 pages in, and this book is so good. It's actually so good. I'm so excited about it. The characters, I feel like I just understand them very well. Like, R.F. Kuang's writing is so good, and the thing is, basically what's happened so far, not really giving any major spoilers here, but obviously the two characters have now entered hell and they're searching for Professor Grimes, And they've kind of made it through the first like introduction into who the people are in hell and the different kind of characters that exist there. First of all, the concepts are really interesting because we're now making our way through the layers, and each of them from their studies have kind of individual thoughts about what hell is going to look like and how it's going to be structured and formatted. So they're both kind of reviewing their notes and not like arguing, but deciding what the best course of action is to make their way through the levels where they think the professor might be. And they're kind of in one of the first levels right now. Oh, you can see Ollie behind me hanging out. We're currently dog sitting him right now because my parents are on a trip. So he's living with me at my apartment right now. But yeah, basically they are kind of going over their notes and their studies and seeing how they think hell is situated and laid out and what the best course of action is to move through the different levels to try and find Professor Grimes. And the issue they're facing right now is essentially they've made it to one stage, one level, and in order to move through to the next level, they're being told that they need to pass some sort of test, which is a problem because they're not actually dead and they're kind of on a clock trying to find Professor Grimes, but there's just so many. They're called shades in this book, which is like kind of like a soul of a person, I suppose, once they pass on, and they exist in hell in different formats. And everybody has their own kind of like grievances or repentances that they need to go through so that they can make it to reincarnation. That's like the ultimate goal, essentially, of hell in this construct. And it's really interesting because they're now kind of analyzing both their own lives, even though they are still alive, and then also they're meeting all these different shades, like these different characters who are going through their own journey of like repentance and ideally trying to get reincarnated. It's so interesting, the concepts that she brings up as well, because obviously you're studying all of these different like historical works of ways that people have and like philosophers have depicted hell in the past and trying to see what their experience is going to be. And the experience that they're having in hell is really mimicked by the life that they lived normally. So a lot of it is presenting as if it's Cambridge University, and apparently it would present differently depending on like what your experiences were in like the normal life before you passed to the underworld. Everything about it is so cool. I love philosophy. I've loved it like since I first started learning about it in like grade 12. I remember my first philosophy class ever, and in university I actually took a philosophy of death course in second year, I think. One of my all-time favorite courses that I ever took at university. I had to have a double degree in environmental science and environmental studies, so nothing to do with philosophy or literature or anything like that, but the philosophy of death was one of my favorite courses that I've taken, and it's just so interesting to kind of see how different scholars have depicted death and dying, and now to see it in like a work of fiction, but also just like using all of these different themes that we've known from scholars of the past. Everything about it is amazing. But 100-page update. The other thing that kind of has happened, and obviously this is like a special edition, like you can see how gorgeous like these sprayed edges are and everything. It even like on the middle part here it says hell is other people, which is obviously a concept that they talk about quite a bit in the book. But the last few pages they've included diagrams, like hand-drawn diagrams. Again, I was explaining that the two main characters are kind of discussing the different ways that they've viewed hell and looking at like their notes to say like, do the 7 layers look like this or do they look like this, and how do we get from one to the other? And so they drew diagrams like in the book to kind of help you understand what each like student is talking about or depicting. And after both of those, I don't know if it was just an issue or a misprint with obviously this special edition. I don't know if it was a misprint, but paragraphs were repeating themselves like exactly verbatim, like word for word paragraphs were repeating themselves. No, it happened now twice, I think, and one of the times it started not even as a full word, like the word was realized or something, and it just said, it started at the A and it wasn't capitalized, like allied like that, but it was like not a word on its own, and it was completely copied from one to the next. And I was reading it in bed with my boyfriend, and he was like, maybe you're gonna find out that like this is all part of it and that like it's something weird within their minds, like now that they're in hell, like it's something that's like happening and it's going to be like super twisty and weird, which was a plot that I've never really considered. Like I never considered that it could be intentional. It just seemed so much of a mistake at first, but it would be really cool if it is actually intentional, because they are in hell. And I think a few things, like one of the kind of things that happens is obviously they are magicians and they could like draw these spells to get them into hell, but it does mean I think they lose like a certain amount of life off their soul in the living world. Like half of their life or something like that is like the cost for going when you're not like dead. And so surely something else must be affecting their minds and their like psyche, but I never thought about it like that. So I guess we'll see if he's right, or maybe it was actually just a mistake. I don't know. But otherwise, also this book is so heavy, and I love me a heavy, big book. This one is not like that long or anything, but it's just gorgeous and beautiful, and I just love everything about it. I'm having such a good time, and that is my 100-page update. I'm going to continue reading for a while. We've gotten so much snow recently. We've been in the middle of like snow squalls for the past 2 weeks. It's so pretty having the snow here. It's like the perfect amount of snow as well, where like there's been a couple sketchy driving days, but not too many, and it's so beautiful to just watch it fall. And obviously it's so much nicer having it outside. I'm also living across from like a construction site right now, so having all that like mud basically like covered with the white snow just makes it so much prettier. It's just so fun, and it's so nice having like a really thinky fantasy book to kind of go along with it. I will say there are no words that I don't understand. Like it's not like a typical fantasy book where they're kind of throwing in like made up words, if that makes sense. It feels like you're reading, I don't know, this actually might be a general fiction. I don't actually know if this is classified as a fantasy, but I think Babel was fantasy, which I have not read. I did start the audiobook of it. I think I only got like 10 or 15% in though, because that audiobook is like a bajillion hours long. That book is huge. But I'm not sure if this is actually classified as fantasy now that I'm saying it out loud. But it does feel a lot like just a general fiction, and the depictions, I'm just gonna ramble on about how much I love this book. It might be my new favorite, which is so exciting. So I'm gonna continue reading, and I will check back in with you guys in a little bit. This book. Okay. I don't think any of this is a spoiler, because with no context, you just have no idea what's happening. Okay, hang on. I need to pause. I'm listening to little like piano ambiance, so I need to pause this. Okay. This book literally. It's like every quote. I'm literally one paragraph down from the quote that I just filmed. Okay. It's just zero context. Oh my god, I actually can't. This quote. Okay, I'm just gonna read this paragraph to you because no context, it makes no sense. You know there's no future. The Weaver girl spun Peter to face her. She had everything above his mouth uncovered. All Alice could see of him was his eyes, huge and terrified. You'd think more often it'd be the man, but it's always the girl. She's always afraid. She wants to believe him, but she can't. He let her down too many times in the past. She knows he'll do it again, and in the end, she has to look out for herself. You know, sometimes books just like find you in the right time. Like you just know when a book finds you in exactly the right time that it's supposed to find you in. Because tell me why I've been struggling with like this exact concept so much in the last few days. even a little bit longer than that, honestly, but like so much, especially in the last few days. And literally this is the second page. I just picked up the camera. This is the second page from the chapter heading that I started filming. The second page right after that is this. It's always a girl and she's always afraid. And I just can't. Because it's true. And why do we do that? Why am I overthinking everything literally all the time? Okay, I need to relax. I need to drink my lemon ginger tea and get better at filming because this video is a mess. I'm a mess. This book is so good, please read it. This is why I love reading. This is why I love reading. Okay, goodbye. It's probably time for a book update. Ignore, you can't really see it, but this is my puzzle board, which is just a piece of foam insulation that I have left over from the bus. I had so much random stuff left over that my mom has a piece, which is much nicer than this one, that she uses as a puzzle board. And when I went home the other day, I found like another piece that was left in the garage, so it is now my puzzle board, which I got a puzzle for Christmas from my aunt. So yeah, ignore the little edge of that if you can see it. But we are here in front of my bookshelf to do a little update on KATABASIS. I know I took the book jacket off, which I normally never do because the book jackets are just so pretty and I want to see what it looks like when I'm reading. But for this time today, I don't know, the way I was like holding the book, it just felt weird to have it on, so I did take it off. But let's do a little update. I am on page 360 right now, so yeah, we've got a good chunk done already. It's honestly really, really good. I really enjoy this book. I kind of wanted to give an update because it's going in a different, it's not going in a different direction, like the plot isn't going in a different direction than I was thinking, but the writing style is a little bit. And I just wanted to mention it's really, really cool because it's kind of jumping back and forth between the current like adventure, so Peter and Alice in hell. It's kind of going through their like actual mystery and their actual journey as they're like moving their way through. But it's doing quite a lot of jumping back into their backstories and kind of explaining like where they were and how they got to where they are, basically, because the very beginning of the book is them going to hell, so you're kind of getting all of this like background and build up. Even still, like now that we're this far through, we're still getting a lot of new information about their backstory and the buildup of them as characters and as people, which is really interesting. And you're also getting a lot of kind of in their heads about like the relationship that they have to Cambridge and to studying into the field of magic and to the university and to Professor Grimes and like everything like that. You're just getting so much more information even this late in the game, which is really interesting because I think it's done really well in the way where it's not really, there are times where it feels like it's taking you out of the mystery a little bit because it is a complete jump, like it's a complete change of scenery, complete change of like vibe out of that like mystery, where they have some very like high, very intense moments, very intense like confrontations between, I don't want to say like who the people are, who the characters are obviously, and I don't know if I even want to call them characters because it's kind of like different, they're not people necessarily either, but different like deities or beings or souls or whatever you want to call them that they're kind of like experiencing and running into in hell. and the characters and the contrast between like their conversations with them. Did they expect them to be there? Like, who are they? There's kind of like that whole story. There's some high tension moments, I will say. Like, obviously, I think in like romance books, I only know this because I watch so much like book YouTube of people that read genres that I would never read, which is like about romance books and stuff, because contrary to popular belief with Magnolia Park's right behind me, I don't really read romance books, or primarily romance books, basically ever. So, but anyways, in that kind of category, I think they would call it like that forced proximity, like where the two characters like have to be together all the time. So there is a lot of tension in that way, because obviously they're kind of like rivals in the school. It's kind of been like they've been like pitted against each other a little bit, because they're both so successful in their field that they've been like pitted against each other their whole kind of academic career. And now obviously they're forced to like work together. Do they really want to work together? Are they backstabbing each other? Are they thinking that they're lying to this person so that they can get ahead? What are their true motives for the reasons that they're even in hell? Should they even continue through hell together or through hell by themselves? Like, there's a lot of kind of deep questions and internal motives that are really playing on this whole like mystery aspect. And then separate to that, we're also getting so much depth and character building through their own story, and to see like how they ended up here. I really have no idea where this is going to go, because I actually don't know if the mystery part is necessarily going to be like solved. Like, I really thought it was going to be more kind of like high action, fast-paced mystery about rescuing Professor Grimes, and that was going to be the whole plot. But it is a lot more of like a character study and character development, and I'm feeling much more like attached to these characters, and it almost feels like at this point it feels a lot more like a character story now. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in the last like third of this book, because I'm really interested to see where these characters go and what their minds are thinking of. And I honestly don't know how much more of hell we're actually going to get to explore, because it doesn't really seem like we're that far deep or in, depending on how you look at it. So yeah, it's very interesting though. I have high hopes, and I really am enjoying it. Okay, ignore the mess that is kind of everywhere in the background right now, but I finished KATABASIS yesterday. So exciting. It was really good, honestly. It was really good. This looks a bit creepy. This is a little projector that I bought, because I don't have a TV in here. So I bought this little projector, and at night we like shine it on the blind, because I'm in front of the window right now, and it's the perfect screen. So, but it looks like the little Pixar lamp in the background there. Yeah, oh my gosh, okay. KATABASIS. It was really good. I'm actually really happy that I read it, honestly. I think this book actually took me a really long time, because I took so many breaks. I had so many like life events that were happening when I picked this up. So I actually ended up reading this very slowly in like a very large chunk of time, and it was like broken up by a lot of other books in between it, because I had so much going on. But I really want to say, like, this was so good. I loved how realistic it was, even though it was so conceptual. Everything in it was so like scientific, mapped out, clear, obviously magical, because there was events of magic, like the students are obviously studying magic, and the events that are happening in hell are magical, but they're not like very fantasy. Like, they're not out there. The world is very realistic and real, and I feel like this is a great description of like what hell could look like, especially with the lens that these two characters were like going through it with, which is obviously like being students, and hell was kind of reflected back at them in the way that they viewed the world and in the like places that they would encounter in the world. So yeah, it was really, really great. I think like if you've read this book, I am not overly surprised by the ending and a lot of the things that happened. Like, it was not, I was not like necessarily on the edge of my seat, like waiting to see in like a thrilling way what would happen. Like, it was kind of like, it made sense and it was self-explanatory, and I kind of figured that that was going to be what happened, but not in a bad way. Like, I didn't guess it and I was like so disappointed that that's what happened. Like, I wasn't expecting to be blown away by like the events necessarily. Like, it made sense for the plot, and I'm glad that it happened the way that it did, and a lot of the realizations were cool, and I thought that that was good. But the thing that this book did really well was the writing style and the quotes that came out of this. Like, I said it at the very beginning as soon as I opened this book, which is like, I already want to reread it, and I still feel exactly the same way, because the amount of quotes that are in here, like, I have a bunch of them written down in my phone, in my like quotes like app or whatever, because I saved so many of them. But there were so many more that like I could have annotated this whole book. I just didn't want to write in it at the beginning, so I just didn't like annotate any of it. But my second read through I probably will, because it was just so good, and the writing was so good, and there were so many great like life lesson-y type quotes that were in it that really just made you kind of sit and think, and just think a little bit about like life in general. Well, life and death, obviously, just based on like the contents of this book, but not even just in the way of like, oh, everybody dies, whatever. No, in the way of like the meanings or meaninglessness or events. And yeah, it was really, really great. On this channel I don't rate books, and in my mind I also don't rate books, so I'm not going to be giving this like a star rating or anything like that. But I am so happy I read it, and I would highly recommend it, not to just like fantasy readers by any stretch of the imagination. I would read this almost as like a general fiction type vibe, because it was not too out of the realm of possibility. Like, it wasn't too magical, and there wasn't really like a world building that you would need to know. I mean, it was their concepts and their theories of what hell may look like, and as they were going through the world, they were discovering in their own way how they thought hell was presented and laid out and how it looked. And there was even some maps at the end of the book, which I'm not really going to show because I liked not seeing them before I started. But I'm just going to take the dust jacket off, because even in like the front covers and the back covers, they have all these like beautiful like writing that does have significance, but also a lot of it is like the different depictions of hell and what it could look like, and what the different courts look like and how they're laid out. And honestly, just the book in general, like, I mean, it's gorgeous. Like, the sprayed edges are the prettiest things I have like ever seen. They're crazy. But then also just like even the physical paper like is so thick and like luxurious. The like words are written in this perfect like script for the like feel of the book and the like academic-ishness. And then all of the chapters, this is not a normal chapter, this is like a side note so that you can be educated more on something specific that they're talking about, and like it's all written in script, which is so pretty. And yeah, it's just amazing. And then the normal chapter headers all start with like this different, I'm gonna call it like insignia, which is not what it's called in the book, like you're kind of learning what that is, but all of this like kind of drawing at the top, and every single one is different, and you'll learn why in the book. And like I loved it. I really can't talk about this book more. I'm so happy that I picked this one up. I'm so glad that I got the edition of it that I did, because it's so beautiful. It still looks beautiful on my shelf, and even though this cover is very beaten up now because this book has been on my, not on my shelf, but like on my bedside table, on the couch, around the apartment, and I've been bringing it to work like for literally so long now because I was reading it over such a long course of time. But yeah, again, highly recommend this book. It was so good, and if you're even a little bit curious, please go pick it up because it was amazing. So that's gonna be it for this reading vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I do have some other book content on my page, so if you want to check it out, I'll link the playlist above my head here. And otherwise, I will speak to you next time. Enjoy all of the books that you are currently reading. Let me know what you're reading down below, or if you have any other recommendations for either new releases or just stuff that maybe is coming out this year. But otherwise, I'll speak to you in the next one. Just remember, every adventure is worthwhile. Keep sharing those stories. Love you guys. Bye!